my weekends are now measured based upon how many fights did I manage to avoid getting into this weekend about Israel and Gaza.
I did not succeed on that front, I'll say. But I'm trying. I went to the rally. I went to a ceasefire rally, which was wonderful. So amazing to see so many people come out in Brooklyn, started from the Brooklyn Museum, headed to the bridge. I kind of dipped out before the bridge crossing. But it's a beautiful thing to be around like-minded people like that, and just to see how global some of these demonstrations are going, and how many, Jewish Voice for Peace activists are there as well. And they had just done that incredible Grand Central demonstration the night before. So I was very moved to see so many people out in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it does seem like at least in certain quarters that you're seeing protests, you're seeing people come out. Here is a clip of this is from, I guess, Friday. Shoot, I didn't have it. It's number 6. This is in Grand Central Station, and we have 2 clips. Yes. The first are demonstrators in support of a ceasefire. You can hear that now. We'll listen to this. This is pretty impressive. I mean, that place is full. And then this is a clip of Rosalind Paczewski, Hunter College professor, and discussing why she is protesting.
Palestinians have been the victims of oppression for 75 years, and it has to stop. That's why we're here, to say not in our name. I am older than the state of Israel.
There's Jewish prayers in the background. The sun is going down, and it's the Jewish Sabbath.
It is. And on Shabbat, we have to pray. We have to recommit ourselves to justice. I believe that Judaism and Jewish ethics, this is how I grew up thinking, are about justice and about Rabbi Hillel's statement, if I am not for myself, who am I? And if I'm only for me, what am I doing here? I glossed over it a little bit. And if not now, when? Now. Peace now. Ceasefire now. President Biden and Blinken, listen to what people are telling you, especially the young people and lots of Jews.
Not in our name is what they're chanting there. It really is amazing. And these are the biggest peace demonstrations definitely in the U.S. since the Iraq War.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. And, people will ask, well, we didn't see certain groundswells, even for, like, say, the Ukrainian people, for example. But the nature of protests is that you protest what your government is doing. And I think what some people miss is that this is actively being funded and perpetrated by the United States government, and that's what is so outrageous to so many people, is that and for the Jews there, I don't want to speak for them, but they're saying not in our name. Don't commit these atrocities in our name, using our grief to commit what 800 international scholars are calling crimes of genocide at this point, at the very least mass murder. And then from the American perspective, these are where our tax dollars are going. That's where our tax dollars are going. And I think that is really at the core of this here. A child in Gaza right now is dying every 10 minutes? Or am I undercounting that there? Either way, it's 3,500 children that we know of dead already.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine that the numbers that we're getting aren't undercounts, frankly.
Yeah.
The ridiculousness that the Biden administration is claiming that they can't trust numbers generated by the Hamas-led government is absurd. They've never had that disposition before. And again, to the extent that there's any type of confirmation, Ryan Grimm was on the program Friday, and I think he also did a podcast released after that show, where he has a direct contact with someone who with family or presence in Gaza, who had a list of 40 some odd family members who had been killed. And it matched up with the list that the House of Ministry, Health Ministry had put out, I guess, on Thursday. And so, to the extent that there's any way to verify these things. But if the Israeli and American government really wanted more verification, they could send people in to count. Now, of course, those people would be in mortal danger, because we know already that UN aid workers have been killed, journalists, at least a dozen now, I think we're up to, have been killed. So they won't do that. And it is hard to look at the sort of the rubble in Gaza and say they've found every dead person. It's absurd. It really is absurd. Yeah.
And the ceasefire, I mean, the idea that it still is so few members of the Democratic Party calling for it, it's absolutely insane to me. But the demonstrations are working. I mean, I do feel that there is movement on this. It's not fast enough. Many more people will die before anything changes. But if you take your foot up off the gas now, this will be able to continue. And I love the idea, too, what you're saying, Sam, is you could let people in to independently verify these things, but they don't want to. They don't want any information coming out. That's why there was the internet blackout, which is a practice that the United States has had historically condemned when done in other atrocities internationally. They let it go on for 36 hours until supposedly Biden pressured the government to restore internet access.
And to be honest, I haven't seen necessarily independent verification that internet access has been restored. And, it's one thing to restore internet access, but if there is if there's no power, and there's no safe place from the bombing, and we know that everywhere in northern Gaza is just being literally razed to the ground. But we also know by the admission of Israeli officials that the south is being bombed as well. And
there's violence in the West Bank too.
And we're not even talking about what's going on in the West Bank. There were calls that went out last night. Did we get a follow up on that area? I don't know if we did. There was a village that apparently was on the brink of suffering a pogrom in the West Bank. That, according to the Israeli B'Tselem, the Israeli peace organization. But we also know there have been dozens, not now close to 100 Palestinians killed in the past couple of weeks in the West Bank. Which incidentally, of course, there's no Hamas there. So.
Okay. So media, stop calling this the Israel-Hamas war. I'm sick of this at this point. This is an indiscriminate bombing campaign on a largely civilian population. They understand they're killing civilians. They're doing so on purpose. Netanyahu is going out publicly and calling this Palestinians with the Amalek, invoking these biblical tropes.
We'll play that video
We will later, but
yeah.
Just let's go, people. Let's catch up to what's actually happening and listen to Jewish Voice for Peace.
Good to see those. Good to see those protesters, and keep at it.